Can I do a roll call, please? Deroni?
Here.
Howard?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Michigan?
Here.
Blackburn? Absent. Hageman? Absent. McAlexander?
Here.
All right. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay.
Any discussion?
None? Any discussion?
No.
Okay.
We do all in favor?
Yeah.
We approve.
Okay. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And then approval of regular council meeting minutes from July 27th. Is there a motion and a second?
I move to approve the minutes of July 27th.
Is there a second?
You can.
I'll second.
I've
Okay.
taken my turn already, don't look at me.
Approved?
Approved.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Is there any public comments for items not on the agenda? Yeah, please take it.
Hi, my name is Ken Daniels. I'm on Hickory Hollow Lane. Just wondering what the update is for the bollards on Timber Trail, which you voted on graciously on May the 18th with photos from Mark Milner, who's an architect. It was approved, and I still see those ugly yellow bollards and police tape on the other lane, and I'm getting tired of it. So just wondering what the update is. Be great. Thanks.
Thank you.
You ready to go up and say something?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Brad Shepler, Hubble Roth and Clark. The final design has been sent to the builder that is going to construct what was ultimately decided on. We're waiting to get his final cost to us along with the submittals and package to us. So everything has been set and decided. It's just waiting on him to deliver the final package, final cost and everything like that so we can get him to Jamie. So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Do you have any idea of timing? Is this like, we're not going to get to winter time?
I hope not. I mean, it's
I hope not.
up to him. It's not really out of our control at this point, unless you want me to push him.
Not pushing that.
Please do.
Okay, I'll remind him. I'll keep reminding him, but again, we're not building it, so
Yeah.
we're kind of at his mercy. He works in the village, so I hope you'd want to take care of the village.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Who is the builder?
Jerry Johnson, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I may see Jerry in a day or two. So.
Okay, so you can remind him too.
That's
I'll text him again now.
You will. Thank you, Brad. Any other public comments for items not on the agenda? All right, discussion topics. Police Department monthly report.
Good evening. I believe all of you have my report. Is there any questions on the report itself? Does not appear so. I want to let people know that there's going to be an educational event. We've partnered with Bingham Farms Mobile Watch on September 10th at 7 p.m. And we're going to be discussing e-bikes, e-scooters, electric motorcycles. And we're trying to educate the public on the laws and safety, because that has kind of exploded all over the place with parents buying their kids those devices, which are a lot of fun, but they're also very dangerous. So again, that'll be on September 10th, 7 p.m. at the Franklin Library. And again, thanks for Mobile Watch for supporting us with that. And as all of you know, thankfully the millage passed in Franklin, one of the few police millages that passed in Oakland County, so we're very thankful and happy, and that millage is for a period of 5 years. Any questions? Sure.
The e-bikes.
Yes.
There's no legislation about safety and protocols to follow, age restrictions on who can ride them in the street.
So there is a state law that talks about it. What a lot of jurisdictions are doing, I think the latest was Berkeley, is they're going farther than the state law and limiting them in like the downtown areas. where they can't be on sidewalks, or they have to walk their e-bikes or scooters if there's a lot of people in the road, things like that. But if you look at like electric motorcycles, they can't be driven on sidewalks. And if you're between the age of 14 and 18, you have to wear a helmet, and you have to have a motorcycle endorsement. And a lot of kids that are getting these bikes from their parents, they have no idea. So we're just trying to educate. If we see someone that's driving carelessly or recklessly, we will write them a ticket, but we're trying to educate at this point.
Yeah, which is always a good idea.
Are the vehicles, are they legal to drive on the streets? I mean, a lot of them don't have lights or...
They have to be street legal.
Okay.
If it's an electric motorcycle, it has to have a license plate, has to have registration.
So you see a lot, just there's no
It'd
registration.
be nice and stop for those stop signs.
But
We
there's a
enjoy
spectrum.
that.
It's everywhere
all
from
over,
pedal
yeah.
things all the way to motorcycles with mopeds in between.
So the e-bikes, and there's 3 different classifications. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but the class 3 go up to almost 30 miles an hour. So
Yeah. Well, I have 2 little ones, adorable little boys, 8, and they're out cruising up and down the street, and he stopped to say hi, and I said, you do know you have to observe all traffic laws. He gave me that, what?
Exactly.
And I thought,
Exactly.
whoa, you know, this is, you got to stop at stop signs, you know, all the things that you have to do. It's dangerous.
And then the last thing I'll throw out there is, we have Kevin as our new interim fire chief, and he's been great to work with. Him and I have gotten along great, had several meetings already, so my hat's off to him.
Good.
Yep.
Thanks, Chief.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
My report, or Tony's last report, was included in the packet. You'll get my first one next month.
Okay.
Hopefully it's just as good. Are there any questions on the report? Okay. Couple of runs of note that we've had in the last month in the commercial district up and down Telegraph here. We had a fire and some air handling equipment up on the roof, which charged the whole 4-story building with smoke. We worked with the maintenance of the building to help evacuate all the smoke. We used some positive pressure fans, so we were able to return that building to normal operating status. And another one up the road, we had a burned up belt on an HVAC unit, which also filled the building with smoke, and we were able to ventilate that building and make it safe. Other than that, it's been a little quiet. Yes.
I have a neighbor on Outland Trail
Yes.
who, a week ago Sunday, I guess, this past Sunday, had a house fire at like wee hours of the morning. And she said initial investigation attributed it to an extension cord that was plugged in on one side into the outlet, but not into anything else. But then the second inspection, she said, attributed it to, you have those spray bottles
Yeah.
with Roundup, or whatever.
Power sprayer.
And there's a little battery in the
Yes.
power sprayer. Is it really the case with that fire that you're aware of?
That's what the insurance investigator determined was the cause. It wasn't the extension cord that was there. He
So does that
eliminated that in his investigation.
How viable? I mean, I've counted 8 sprayer bottles right after that in my garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the first one I've ever heard of.
Whoa.
If that indeed was the cause. I take his word for it because he's an expert, but we kind of go with what the insurance company says because it's their,
So do we have to take precautions about those things, especially if I leave my garage for 6 months or over the winter or whatever?
Like I said, that's the first time I've ever heard of that. So I have several at my house. I'm not really concerned about it. I mean, it could
Okay,
be
that makes me
a
feel
fluke
better.
or a one-off,
That makes me feel
but I've not heard in any other community of that happening. So
Chief, I have a request, and that is I'm on Mobile Watch as well as council, and there have been 2 incidences. This one, where it's really unknown. I mean, nobody's committing to it being the Roundup bottle, the spray, but that it's being considered. And the other one was in Franklin, the house fire, where it was the plug on the extension cord was underneath the sofa,
Yes,
Yes,
in the basement.
right. I think that would be good material to put in our newsletter.
I've been addressing some of these issues
Yeah.
as they come up with my weekly newsletter, so I think I have the,
Can we
was the
get
e-bike
some-
one this week, or was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
well,
walking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to start including this type of information for all residents in the village, that they be made aware that these have occurred, and to please take precautions.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Yep, I've been trying to address some of the items that have been coming up at both village councils and
Yeah.
incorporating that into my newsletter.
Good, thank
So,
you.
Okay. Any other
Appreciate that.
questions? All right. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, village manager's report, my report was in the packet. I don't have anything else to add unless there were any questions. All right, so I'll turn it over to Yev.
Likewise, you have my written report, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Yes, you made a reference to our previous study session on the Bingham Ridge
Yes.
project. And were there notes taken from that study session?
I mean, I took notes as part of just the discussion we were doing, but no, not like minute-style notes, because historically we've never done that with study sessions.
So minutes are not required for the study session? Okay.
Since no decisions are made by council at study sessions, that's why we've historically never done that either.
Okay, but we had certain action items that came out of that study session.
Yeah.
Can you update us on those action items?
I mean, not right this instance, because I don't have any of those notes in front of me right now, but I can certainly take a look at them tomorrow and send out an update email.
Well, not implying that we have poor memories, but it would be nice to get written updates that remind us of things that we've discussed and action items that we want to make sure we address. That would be very helpful if we could get that. Thank you.
Well, Mike, you're working with the
Yes.
developer
Yes.
on trying to come to an agreement on what's redlined
Yes, I
and
can
what's
give you a
not.
quick update on that.
Would you please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So,
If I could segue.
we prepared pretty extensive red line proposed edits based to that draft that you saw based upon the study session, the comments, the areas of concern, the issues that were listed. Those went out. Mary Kucharik went through those after I prepared them. She did some modifications, sent them over to the developer. The developer has now included an attorney, and I believe he's got an attorney, and then the owner's using an attorney who we haven't dealt with. So that attorney, John Gaber, has gone through and done his own red lines and sent that back. I got back from vacation, and when I got my head above water, took a dive into that and have made some further changes to his. His were pretty extensive, so Mary and I are going to go through those in the next day or so, and then probably get on a call with him and actually talk through where we're at on some of these things. It's probably time to just do that, but there have been extensive edits shared back and forth.
Are these small legalities and phrasing, or are these major issues that are read?
Some of it is cleanup, and there's a few things that are, few areas that I'd rather not
Right, no,
discuss right now, but
it's big stuff.
areas that you would want to have negotiated.
Okay. Should we be made
At what
aware of them?
point do we actually, I was going to say, made aware of this?
Yeah, as I committed before, I'll share something with you well before we come back to a meeting with a document that you're going to be looking at. So we'll share with you a red line and sort of summarize, I think, how we got there. It's probably the best approach.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Don't give away the store.
We're trying.
Has the subject of trees come up?
Yes.
And?
We're going back and forth on that issue a little bit, and that'll be an item of discussion about,
Yes.
Eric, I know you
agree.
had an issue as
Yeah.
well, a question
Oh,
about
yeah.
how to handle that, and we're working on that.
Yeah.
It probably is going to have another study session, I guess,
Yeah.
I think
at the appropriate time, too, so. Okay.
Well, that was part of the
And that was part of the action plan.
action plan, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if at your convenience, you could just go back to your notes and sort of recap those action items and just drop us an email as to this. Okay.
Yeah, that's about it right now, though.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that study session that we talked about will be helpful, and you'll see how we got from where we were at last time to where we're at now. You'll have a red line, it'll all be real clear.
All right, do we want to move on to new business? Rose, we've got Brad here. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Did we already get through? Sorry. Board and committee updates? Any other board and committee updates?
I'll say that Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock is our next strategic planning meeting with the fire department. So if anybody's interested, it'll be at 8 o'clock at the fire department Wednesday morning.
I never say Susan.
With donuts, thank you. Yes. Thank you.
I need an attorney there, change your mind.
All right, then we'll move on to the roads, project phase 3.
All right.
Are we going to have a discussion of some kind before the presentation on this material?
There's no presentation. This is just a proposal for your consideration.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to listen to him first and then ask questions. Yeah.
Well, HRC was asked to write a proposal to begin the discussions on phase 3 to kind of keep the momentum going for the road programs in the Village of Bingham Farms. We don't want, everyone's paying the millage, so we want to make sure that we don't forget about last phase of this that we have to do, just keep it on everyone's minds, I guess. So we were asked to write a proposal. I thought, based on what we learned from phase 1 and 2, the discussions from the Roads Advisory Council, that we should probably be good to maybe have more of a study phase for this one, to relook at the scope, have more discussion, have more time, essentially, between when we get topographic survey and when we start the design process, and during the design process, to really nail down exactly what we want to do, what we don't want to do, and why we want to do those things, and come up with a good scoping document at the end to kind of justify why we made the decisions that we did, based on what discussions, based on what decisions, based on what background research. That's really what this proposal is. It's kind of a study phase, but also to get the topographic survey done, because the topographic survey will be good for years to come. Nothing much changes in the roadway in terms of grades and things like that. So whether you want to do it next summer, or the summer 28, or the summer 2030, whatever, that topographic survey will still be good. So it's not something that's going to be wasted.
So that's the big thing about this proposal is the topo.
Is the topo, yeah. And that's much of the budget as well.
And we didn't do that when we were doing all the work with COPA.
So we did selective topo, and because what we did was we looked at the drainage areas, we looked at the drainage, found the areas that we thought were the areas that we wanted to correct, and did topo in those areas. And then it turns out it kind of burns us in the back end, because there were other areas that people wanted to get done that we didn't have topo with, so we were taking topo at multiple times. It ended up, I don't think it cost us more money, but it didn't. It's easier if you have everything all at once and all there, and then you can justify why we made this decision and why we didn't make this decision. So rather than trying to be too smart for our own good, right, and just do topo in areas that we think are the problem, topo the entire thing, get the whole lay of the land, figure out where the areas are that need work, why there's areas that we didn't propose improvements on, and justify why we didn't. So when people come and say, I have an issue, to be like, well, here's why we didn't decide to do something here, and try to keep that budget tight.
I think, from my perspective, of course, I was involved with the roads committee. And I think everybody will recall that was here then. This is the part of the project that's going to be by far the most expensive, or at least potentially by far the most expensive. You guys proposed before complete reconstruction. My memory is pretty good. It seemed like it was north of $4 million, I believe. And this was a big part, really a very significant part of the road committee discussion because of the price tag and the discussion about why it couldn't be something similar to what we were doing in phase 1, mill and fill, versus a complete reconstruction. So, and I know even the council at the time said, let's get moving on phase 1, but phase 2 will be for the next council to work on. And it's probably just because there was still maybe some amount of controversy, maybe a lot, and because of the price tag. There's no question that we need to do the roads, and you're right. There's been a millage assigned to do that. There's been special assessments, at least on the people that are involved already. But for me, because I'm driven a lot by the financial health and condition of the village, which is good, right, very good right now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we know when we can, when we might be financially ready to do this. Maybe it's in 2 years, 3 years. Back to your point, for me, I'm not sure we need to do the topo right now until we may have a better understanding of when this project may occur. Maybe the topo is good for years to come, but right now, based on what was studied a lot, this is a $4 million project.
And that's
Yeah.
fair. Again, that's why this is for your consideration.
Right. Yeah.
We want to make sure we capitalize on the lessons learned from the previous. The longer we wait, the more we forget.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, it's just for your consideration.
Well, in light of what Eric just said, and in light of a review of how valuable the previous road advisory committee was to our understanding of this immense project, and third, in viewing that what will be probably the most expensive project in the history of Bingham Farms, I make a motion to establish a Phase 3 Road Advisory Committee comprised of village council members and community volunteers for the purpose of conducting thorough research and making project recommendations to the village council for their final approval. And then there's one other motion on its tail. I make a motion to require a minimum of 2 competitive vendor quotes for all services in excess of $25,000 pertaining to the Phase 3 roads project. We talked about the need to begin aggressively getting multiple vendor quotes for large projects. I mean, we love our vendors, but we need to ourselves see the different approaches to projects from various vendors. And with that in mind, I'll repeat, I make a motion to require a minimum of 2 competitive vendor quotes. It's a minimum of, for all services in excess of $25,000 pertaining to the Phase 3 roads project. So I guess I have 2 motions on the floor. Madam Chair, would you take each motion and call a vote on that?
Second.
I second. I second that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can make a few comments now?
Discussion?
So,
You can just,
Would you-
yeah.
So the first motion on the road advisory committee, I don't know how many advisory committees the village has used historically. I thought that particular one was really good. I think it was worthy. I think people were serious about it. It went for several months. There was a number of presentations done, and I think it really helped people understand the magnitude of the project and how to finance it and when to do it and so forth. And prepared people that it was going to be a tax increase, a property tax increase. So I think there was a lot of value that came out of it. This next phase of the project, phase 3, I think a road advisory committee is a good idea, actually. And I think, and we're going to talk a little bit more maybe about how we get volunteers from the, because I don't know how you got it last time. You guys will have to tell me, how'd you get people to even say, yeah, we're willing to do this? But we really need to try to encourage, however we can, the residents that live on Bristol Lane and all the associated courts.
Jim
because-
Burley.
Huh?
The resident, Jim Burley was the one.
Well, Jim Burley was actually on the
Yeah.
committee at the
Yeah.
time. There may have been others from Bristol Lane, but he was the one I
Yeah.
remember. And point being is, as a council member, I wouldn't be comfortable, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable either way, but I'm not sure I'd be comfortable voting on something without knowing that the people on that, in that road in the courts, Bristol Lane and the courts, knew exactly what was being proposed and why. Because again, it's a big, big project. So the project needs to be done. I'm not sure we know the best way to do it. You probably think you know the best way to do it. I think an advisory group is a good idea, and I think we need to work hard to at least get people that, you live over there, so we're signing you up, right? To be a big part of this discussion. So that's kind of my comment.
Yeah. I would agree with your assessment.
I think about it as like, okay, this is like I guess I wasn't here last month if there was discussions, but
No.
I don't think there was. But it's like, okay, time to talk about phase 3. And how do we want to do that? This is, a basic, these kind of things
This is
need
a
to happen.
suggestion,
This is a suggestion, yes, starting with topographic survey, and this is if we were going to do it in 2 years, what kind of timeline that we'd be looking at. But I think to the, hey, let's get people together and talk about how do we want to do this. Even $61,000 is a big chunk of stepping into how do we want to move forward. That may be the right first step, but I think we can talk about it some more.
We had talked about continuing the road committee because we're always going to have areas of all our roads susceptible to some form of degradation or damage. In my investigation of other communities, I found that many of them have a standard road committee. I mean, Bloomfield Township, granted, they're monolithic compared to our size. Their road committee meets twice a month. They have a lot of roads, but that would be overkill. Unless you served wine and cheese. But, I think it's really important that we pay attention to the ongoing costs to our residents, and roads is one of them. And I would suggest that we have a more permanent committee because it is a constant issue. And not that they have to meet every month. Our planning commission doesn't meet every month. But when there are incidences, then I think getting a record of that would be very handy. So that's something else to consider.
Well, for sure, I think we're gonna be into phase 3 for a while. So if we have some people getting together and talking about this, we're set for a while. When we're done with phase 3, then we decide, do we want to keep it going
I think that's
over
right.
wine and cheese?
Yeah,
Okay, of course.
of course.
White wine, too.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my take on it.
Jim, do you have a discussion point or anything that you want to add?
I'm thinking through the financial aspects of the,
Well, let's do the first one first.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're saying the financial of this one, or
of
just
phase 3.
or just phase 3 overall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Phase 3 overall, and then phase 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the future. We're gonna have to fix the roads forever, and pay for them. And the way we're doing it so far is sort of haphazard and contentious. And when we fix the roads south of 13 Mile, are we gonna only assess those people south of 13 Mile for this $4 million? Or is the rest, any part of north of 13 Mile going to pay for any of this? So this whole idea that we have to always spend money or save money every year towards fixing roads, I think that should be permanently part of our budget and
Yeah.
baked into our finances somehow.
What do you think?
Well, I agree. We've been, from the time that I've been on, when I came on board, we did the increase of the 1 mil towards the taxable base to put towards the roads. When we had surplus, we would move over $150,000 a year. upon council's approval to move it over. That was a lot by Trustee Jones that pushed that initiative for upkeep and maintenance and repairs of the road so that they didn't degrade further than what their PASER rating was. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, Eric, you had indicated 4 million. I recall it was probably the top end of 4 million, depending upon which way we did it. I know Bill West was here and talked about the base. And also, if I recall correctly, sitting in on the road committee and listening to a lot of things that HRC said, I think there's more issues, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, with the drainage that has to be taken care of on Bristol than other areas of the village.
Correct.
So I don't know how much of a increase to the cost that does, but we, as we're finishing up phase 2, we are going to be looking at, we have our auditor coming in to close out the year and start field work for the audit. Once we get all of that in the regular buckets and any adjustments that need to be made to close out, obviously you guys want to know where we're at as far as what we have in the hoppers in order to do that. And then we all kind of know, we already have one SIB loan. I've already confirmed with the state that we can have 2.
That was a good, really big question. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yes, we can have 2, but you can have 2 if you can financially afford it and your financial statements have the wherewithal to be able to repay it.
Yeah.
I've been talking a little bit with Brad as well. We've got that $2 million that we got from the SIB loan. We pay another 9 years of $235,000 a year. That funding has to come from somewhere. It comes from the funds that we set aside within the road funds. So we've got that. We've got the maintenance that comes on board, and we all know we only have maybe 4 levers to pull, right? You finance it through your fund balance and what we put in through the tax base on the 1 mil. You can get outside financing through the SIB loan, which we substantiated that we could have more than 1 loan at a time concurrently
Is the
going.
second loan capped at $2 million as well?
It depends. What she said is they come out with rules every year as far as what it is.
We could start taking a look at that.
Yes, and it also, again, depends. It says up to, but again, if you are a very small village and you don't have the wherewithal, they're not going to loan you $2 million if you don't have the ability to repay it.
$2 million borrowed from them.
Right. The other one is, which we've done, right, SAD, or increasing the mill from 1 mil to something higher than 1 mil. And the last one is, of course, municipalities bonded. So those are basically the levers that we have to pull in order to be able to finance it. We can't go out as a village and actually just borrow money other than the sanction of the state infrastructure loan. We just can't go to a regular bank and like a business or private entity, right, and say, we want to borrow money for it. We can't do that as a village. So it is going to be important, and a lot of it, too, as we start going through and looking at what it is going to be based upon the cost, which I hope that we'll have some, I mean, it's different if we say, all right, if we do a mill and fill, it's going to be 2.8 million versus if we rip it all up, do the base, and do a brand new, build-up forklift replacement, it's going to be 5 million. So that's $3 million spread. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
So do we do that first? Do we look at the finances to know at what point we're going to have that much money and then schedule things? You know what I mean?
Maybe a little hard to say what comes first. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think we have to go along parallel paths.
Do all the work now and get the quote, and then can't do it for 5 years.
The quote's not going to be good.
Right. Anyway.
Right.
My opinion would be we have a good enough idea if we could, like Bill was saying, let's close out phase 2. We got to close out phase 1 too.
Yeah.
Correct.
We got to
Yeah.
close out the first phase, second phase, understand what, if anything's left over, and then make some type of a model that suggests what inflation's going to look like.
Right.
Property taxes are going to look like.
Correct.
Is this PUD really going to be built, and how much that might deliver?
Correct.
And then there's the other side of, well, we haven't really funded the fire department like they've been asking.
That's another.
Police and fire have at least 5-year, 10-year forecasts that would suggest their costs are going to go up 7, 8, 9, 10% a year.
Right.
Fire trucks are 2 times more expensive than they used to be. That's even a big debate in the U.S. Congress right now.
Right.
So anyway, point being, I think we got a good enough idea to at least put us place where if we look at all the variables, we could probably,
Yeah.
Start
I would
that
feel better
process.
about at least having some thoughts on when we could do it and how we could do it.
Right. That's the thing that I want to just make sure that you're cognitive in the mind, because as I think back and look at it, right, it's like, okay, we know what we're paying for fire,
Yeah.
we know what they're going to be asking, and
Yeah.
have a better idea over the next 5 years.
Right.
That gap right there
It's a big gap.
is a big gap, right?
As you know, we're already, last
Yes,
year and this year, we had
Yes.
a deficit budget.
right,
Now,
correct.
We were fortunate that actuals came in better than we thought, but, but back to Jim's point, I mean, the village has been in a position to be able to finance these things in the past because it always had a surplus. And the days of surpluses, I'm afraid, are
Right.
Absolutely.
And if we look at the mills that we assess, I mean, I'm not saying that it's like really light, but compared to other municipalities, it's, I mean, it was at 9%.
It is
it is like.
It was
There's-
9%
there's
for
no-
like
That is
5 years
Yeah.
before we raised it
Yeah.
at 1, right? The other thing that we have to think about is obviously inflation. If we decide to do this starting in 2028, that's election year, administrations are going to change. We don't know what effect that's going to have on pricing and cost of, hot mix asphalt or the other, labor. So there's there's always going to be variables that are in there that we need to consider. But I think we kind of do have to do it kind of like in parallel, where we find out where we're at as far as what we have, projections of what we think we're going to be bringing on a revenue basis, and then, of course, what the cost is and what direction the village wants to go as far as, do we just, I don't want to call it a patch, but do we do a lighter road recovery and rebuild, or we do a ground up lift and just do it from a build up?
Bill, that decision is not we 7 people on council. It's
No.
the people who live on Bristol Lane.
Correct.
They have got to be involved a lot sooner in the game, as Eric mentioned earlier. And to be part of the decision-making monetarily, if they're going to get an SAD, it could be significantly higher than the existing SAD if we go to a really expensive project. That may be the only way that it gets paid for, is through special assessment combinations with village help. And literally, Bristol Lane is, you don't go down Bristol Lane to get anywhere unless
you live there.
you live there or you're a peeping Tom, you know what I mean?
One or the
Bristol
other.
Lane
Well,
is,
I think it's all saying that we need time, because it's a
Yeah.
big discussion. The time is probably good to say, okay, it's time to start thinking about it.
and
But
citizen
I'm not
input.
sure I would
Yeah.
be supportive of spending money at this, or even approving to spend money at this very moment.
So do we go back to the motions on the floor?
So I just want to say something. I think the decision you need to make is, do you want to build the project around the budget or the budget around the project? And that's a big decision that you guys need to make.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then one of the lessons learned, talking about stakeholder engagement, was, we provided the opportunity for residents to look at plans and all that beforehand. I think this round, it would behoove the project to seek out comments,
Yeah.
go door to door, things like that. It all costs more money, but I think that we need to seek out that involvement rather than
I think that's
try
right.
and have them, because it was all available, but some people can't get here or forget about it, stuff like that. And we needed to be a little more boots on the ground out there, say, hey, we're doing something in front of your house, this is what we're going to do. So that, here's why I made a decision. Do you have any input? And seek it out rather than let them come to you.
Yeah.
So those are a couple, again, that's part of the proposal, but fair if you don't want to do it, I understand. It was just asked of us to present this to you.
At today's meeting,
Yeah.
to approve what's before us.
That's fine.
Because we need a lot more research and homework and expert opinion besides us to say which direction should we go with this.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's why it was presented.
Yeah.
Well, it's good information and good to start thinking about it. Good to, now time to talk about this. And I think, we started with the roads discussion, and do we want to have a roads committee, but really it's also the budget committee or others
Yeah.
start talking about the kinds of things you guys just talked about, which is, where do we see ourselves between now and 5 and 10 years from now financially?
Yeah.
And how does this fit into it? And then which comes first, there's a chicken and an egg there. But we got to do both. I think we got to talk about both of those very seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, so are we going to vote?
Yeah.
But we have a motion on the floor, we have to take action on what's
Yes.
on the floor.
Blackburn?
Well, which are we voting on?
The first one.
The first-
Well, we're on the first one. Did we have a second?
Yeah.
I second it.
You seconded.
So, yeah, take a motion to establish phase 3, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Blackburn? Absent. Howard?
Aye.
Yes. Miller?
Aye.
Shaken?
Aye.
Hageman? McAlexander?
Aye.
Jurnee?
Aye.
The second motion on the
Second
floor.
motion?
Well, can we have discussion on that one? So, I think the roads committee and then also a discussion around finances can get in, because this to me is, this is more of a budget planning and how do we run the budget and how do we get things versus the specific to the roads. So I think that, is that just something the finance committee should talk about and propose back to the council?
I am a member
Or-
of the finance committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Him too.
as I'm looking at the finance committee.
We're here, yeah.
All right. Well,
Right now, I made the motion pertaining to Phase 3 project as a working, an initial procedural for all other future projects. But, we've got snow plowing services. We've got, all kinds of other village services that we contract. And getting competitive bids in this day and age is almost a fait accompli, as that's how you do business.
Well, we did.
I believe this is already our practice, yes.
So you're talking about for professional services?
Yeah.
Not just contractual services?
That's correct.
Diana,
Will
would
this be
that
quality-based
include the
too, or-
Fire services, fire
A
protection?
little bit.
I mean,
That's exactly what we're doing.
We just went through it.
That's
yeah.
exactly what we went through.
Oh, yeah.
Are going through,
Yeah.
yes. We had a look.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just can't say, we love you,
Right.
and just automatically sign the renewal.
Well, I think that's another thing is requiring a minimum of 2 versus it being a topic that has to be talked about. Because we may decide, oh no, that, is that one worthy of a second bid or not?
Well, the dollar
guess.
amount is what
What-
was specified.
Is what this is saying.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's so much money a year that we're investing in it, then we needed to get a second bid. I think it's really best practices in municipal operation is that you want to know that you're getting,
I'm not saying, I'm
Fair
just,
price.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of peeling apart the details of what's written here
Mhm.
and understanding what it
Good
means
point.
to bill and to the
Yeah.
office and what is normally done, what's commonly done, what your experience is, Bill, what your experience is,
Mhm.
Jamie in other places.
Yeah.
Just shaking your head as
I would ask around on that.
other municipalities,
Yeah,
correct.
yes.
There's different ways that they do it, and there's different reasons why they do it that
Yeah.
way.
I guess my point, I stand on this one that it's worth talking about if we're going to, I guess, this is a change that says we are going to. I would change it to be, we should make a motion to discuss and figure out how would we implement this, what's the impact, how many things are gonna be affected. I guess that's the questions I have
Well,
around.
that's why I said pertaining to the Phase 3 roads project, okay?
Actually, can I say something? I believe you have an ordinance that addresses this
yes.
specifically and does require this. I mean, it's not worded identically, but unless you waive out of it by 5 votes, I think. So I think I think this is required anyway, and I think 25,000 may even be the,
For contractual
the threshold.
services.
yeah. Isn't that what we're talking about?
No.
I mean,
This is just vendor.
they're still contractual. I would still.
Yeah,
talking
it's
like-
still a contract, and I think
They're
it's still
saying
a
that if there was
commitment.
a legal issue that they knew it was going to cost more than $25,000, they could go get competitive bids for it as well.
Oh, well, I don't.
Yeah,
Like a project
I
by
don't know how
project
you
basis.
manage that.
we did do
Yeah.
that. We did look at several law firms.
Yes,
We
sure.
did look at
That's
what their
right.
costs were
Exactly.
going to be.
And we
We did
are-
all of that,
Yeah.
and we're just saying it needs to apply.
To apply to
across
this
the board.
project as well.
You know, it's a good business practice that we've followed in the past. We're just saying we need to continue doing that.
And
And you
we
did
don't-
that 10 years ago when we came on. You went out for general engineering services.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. I would ask around, because there's pros and cons to each way of doing it.
Yeah.
So
I guess the other side of it is, I don't think we're ready to approve the $61,000
No, we
here,
don't.
so I don't
Yeah.
know if this matters today.
I
I don't, okay.
I guess I would want to always look at two proposals from two vendors and say what was the strength and what was the weakness with each one. You know,
No, I think that's right. If there's a ordinance already in place, and I don't know the hierarchy of a motion to a resolution to an ordinance to
Yeah.
a charter, I don't know. If there's something already in place that says we
but
must
we're only
do
looking at
that.
one proposal, over 25,000. That's only one. And
Well, I guess
So I agree, then if the ordinance would apply to everything.
the ordinance speaks to contracts, that's right. And I guess what we're saying here is these services fall under your
Overall.
contract,
General
your overall
contract,
contract with
Yeah.
your engineering firm. So,
I bet
can
you-
I'm letting you, you are more than, if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. If you want to go out for proposal for every single contract that's over $25,000, you by all means can do that. I'm just asking if you would talk to other municipalities and ask about the pros and cons of doing that
Yeah.
and having different people in and out of your village.
But I
That's
think
all.
our ordinances would actually be more of a decision maker than what other villages are doing. We have our
I would
own
look for that
ordinances, so we need to.
interpretation.
I'd look to both. Yeah, we should understand more about
Yeah.
I think
the
we should
nuances.
understand more too, because there are nuances here.
Yeah.
And because maybe, in listening carefully to what Brad's saying, maybe in the case of the roads, it's not getting competitive bids for anything more, sort of services more than $25,000, because there could be a list of 500 services in there, I would guess. You're not gonna have one guy come dig a ditch and another guy come and put the gravel in the ditch. I guess you're gonna use one contractor. The point being is we should get competitive quotes on the road project
That's right.
in
And that's how-
totality.
Right.
Because somebody like HRC or whoever competes with HRC is going to provide all the engineering work that's required, all the drawings, all the topo, all the drainage, everything else, and then they're gonna take it out to bid. And then the contract will be written with the village.
Mhm. And there,
But a big part of what Brad does, the 61,000 is a tiny part of what he'll do in this project.
mhm.
The big part of what Brad's gonna do in this project is the engineering work and the project management.
Mhm.
Is that right?
What any engineer would do, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're HIA, any engineer.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to go out for competitive, then it would be that engineer that you hire.
Yeah.
And again, you'd have, if you want to do a study phase, you can hire a different one for the study phase, different one for the design, and a different one for the construction engineering if you wanted to as well. You have every right to do that.
Yeah, but again, I think that goes back to the discussion, because I think you're bringing up things that we really need to be careful with.
Mhm.
Because I don't think that the process you described is a good process.
I agree, but I'm also biased.
I'm biased too, so with what the kind of business I do. So
Yeah.
if you come, we're gonna give you we wanna do the whole thing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, but I do think we're agreeing, and we're agreeing that we're gonna take the roads project out to bid. I'm not sure if that needs a motion or not, but if it does, we should vote on it.
And this one proposal for the roads project, I'm saying I'd like to, you know, you're our village engineer in general, but this is a specific project outside of the norm of running the regular village, in my mind. And since this is a very specific project, that's why the motion is.
But you do understand now that there's
Yes.
already proposals out there for other people to come and be like, oh, I see they were going to charge this much, I'm going to go under this much. The whole Roads Advisory Committee has proposals and cost estimates and everything in it. There's a lot of information out there that make it kind of a little nuanced there to bring other people in and say, okay, well, can you beat this price essentially?
Well, I think we have to,
Right.
we have to act ethically,
Mhm.
but we would need to be careful in that. So I don't know. I'm not sure where that puts us. Other than, you know, I think it'd be a good idea to study it a little more, while at least leaving with an agreement that we all think it's a great idea to make sure we get more than one.
Do we want it on the agenda for next
That'd be fine.
month?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
Okay. So I will withdraw the motion that's sitting, the second motion that is sitting on the floor, requiring a minimum of 2 competitive vendors. So I guess there will be no motion, but we will create an agenda item to discuss this.
Mhm.
At the next council meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You good with me?
That's
All right, thank you.
right. All right, the next item is our MMRMA. It's our insurance renewal. It's actually pretty good news because it's only up to 2.3%, which is actually pretty good right now. So I would just look for a motion to renew that. You can see everything that is covered. They have added some data breach and cyber security coverage that we didn't have before, which is good. And we also are going to get, they call it a distribution, but it's sort of like a refund, so we'll get back about $7,000 when we renew. So that's always good too. So I would just,
Is that refund, is that because of like a experience rate, is that claim?
yeah, so every year you renew,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on.
Because it's a big number, we only pay, what was it, $15,000 or $16,000?
Yeah, but if you don't renew, you don't get it. So, but yeah.
It's an
I'd rather just
Oh,
pay, I'd rather just pay $8,000 and not get a refund.
They'll get you to it.
It's based upon a pool, and the pool of everyone that's in
Yeah.
that, it depends on the losses or what the payouts are on that, and at the end, they take it all and then they distribute it,
Okay, so
so.
it's claims based,
Mhm.
yeah. So if
Yes.
something really bad happens somewhere, you might owe money at the end of it.
Have we had this year?
We've never, as far as I've been on, we've never, we've never owned, we've always got money back. It just varies from how much
you have
the
to have it.
distribution back to the village has
Oh,
been.
You have to have
Oh
insurance.
my gosh,
this
yeah.
Well, this is, yeah, specific, yeah.
And this is I think this is a pool, we're self-insured through this, whatever it is,
Mhm.
MMRMA.
Yeah.
Jamie, would this cover the incident that Franklin experienced where the clerical error resulted in $1 million?
They did
out
have,
the window?
it's my understanding, I don't want to speak for them, but it's my understanding they did have MMRMA, so yes. Yeah,
What was it?
they had some coverage. I don't want to speak to the amount that they covered, but
What would this cover? If we had the same $1 million flying out the window?
it says 2.5 million, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie, you recall, we were on a call with them and Keith Potter. And
Yeah.
We after
We
council had
confirmed it
asked
would
that,
cover us,
we
but-
confirmed that it was
Yeah.
at that time, 2 million is what we were told.
Yeah, it was 2 million, now it's
She
2.5.
wasn't trying to put you on it.
That's okay. I can say in general terms, but it depends on what kind of cyber attack it is or what kind of fraud it is and what your policy says.
Right.
So in this circumstance in Franklin, it did not cover the entire amount. It covered a smaller portion. Our deductible is $25,000. So they're still working through that at this point.
So my question is, would that exact same incident be 100% covered by this policy?
Other than the deductible.
I haven't seen our policy.
Yeah, it's probably less the deductible also, right? Yeah.
But if it's
Good
Franklin in the
question.
same self-insured pool that we're in,
Yes.
so by default, their coverage would be,
The same.
would be the same, I would
Mhm.
guess. I don't think we're customizing our coverage.
Correct.
on it.
Oh, yeah. So other than the changes from last year, this year,
Yeah.
Just, other than, the changes would be, we have a little more coverage.
But-
There's a slight increase by $358 for
Right,
annually, yes.
I guess I don't understand. If Franklin's in the same pool, and there's just an increase from 2 million to 2.5 million, their loss was 1 million.
Yeah, I don't want to speak about.
I just,
don't-
well, whatever, but it was less than this max. So for them not to have full reimbursement plus the deductible, it makes me concerned that there's a loophole in this policy.
Yeah, I don't want to speak to them too much. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with MMRMA, if you could chime in too, but this is a very common.
Yeah, but I'm not familiar with the loss in Franklin or what happened there.
But in general,
But
the
you would need an
company-
insurance specialist to read the policy and
Okay.
make a determination whether or not you have coverage. I don't.
Cybersecurity is a whole
What happened?
Well, that's-
different
yeah,
ballgame,
I
you see.
think- yeah.
And that's what we're trying to see, how sophisticated this policy is in terms of this new world that we're living out there with AI and the cybersecurity and.
There are other steps that we take too with like our IT company, right? So like dual author, like, there's lots of steps that we take
So should we, I mean, yeah, I think we all agree that, we need to go forward in approving of this.
Yeah.
But maybe as a future item to talk more about, I know in the past you've commented about stuff you're doing in the office and do those things. Maybe an information on, hey, is there something else available? Would we
Yeah.
want to have, whatever you want to,
Umbrella policy.
Yeah.
That's exactly,
There you go,
some
Jim.
special
There you go.
rider, some special rider or something, is it worth understanding some more about, at least to understand, what would it cover and what would it cost, and we'll all go, oh, well, we can't afford that, well, that's okay.
And are we as trustees covered?
Right. So I think it'd be worth it in future
Do we need it?
information.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I think you're right, exactly right, Mike. Because it is a big deal. I've personally been a victim of a ransomware attack and cyber fraud. And it's no joking matter. It's dead serious stuff, and you're dealing with criminals. It's hard to track these guys. This ransomware stuff is, deep, dark web, North Korean people, and it's crazy stuff. Having said that, I think the insurance is critically important, and it's not for today, but we really need to know. You mentioned multi-factor authentication. It could be how do we change passwords or set up passwords. It could be just training on how to recognize, because we got hit because somebody clicked on a link in an email, and that's all it took. And they were in our network, and they sat in our network for months and months and months, and we didn't know it. So how do you recognize that? How do you report that? Anyway, it is serious, and you'll wake up one morning and there'll be $1 million missing from the account, and you'll never find it.
Well, that's disappointing.
It's scary.
It is scary.
It's a lot.
It's terrifying.
So anyway, even your guest Wi-Fi. I don't know. Is there any possibility if I'm on guest Wi-Fi that I can get into the network? Okay. So you guys do a lot of
That's
stuff
pretty
like that.
firewall.
Yeah.
That's why it's a guest line.
Okay. Okay.
Please.
All right, so there's a suggested motion I would recommend.
I'll suggest that we approve the Bingham Farms September 30th renewal of the MMRMA and authorize the village manager to sign.
I'll second that. Good idea.
Okay. Do a roll call just to be sure. Miller,
Aye.
Michigan,
Aye.
Bingham, McAlexander,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Anderson, Howard.
Aye.
All right, I'll send that. Master plan update.
Good evening, Council. My name is Eric Peach with Giffords Webster, planning consultant for the village. I'm here tonight to discuss with you and just give you a general update for the status of the master plan update. As you may be aware, the Planning Commission had been going through months of conversation and discussion about whether or not an update to the 2021 approved and adopted master plan was required, or if there was any areas that would warrant significant updates. At their last Planning Commission in August, a few weeks ago, the Planning Commission did make a final determination to provide an amendment to the future land use section of the master plan, because back in May of 2026, you may recall, the HOA for the Bingham Road Estates had called attention to the future land use section of the master plan, where they believed there was unnecessary reference to their subdivision, the Bingham Road Estate subdivision, and so they requested the removal of a certain language within that paragraph of the future land use. So the copy of the master plan amendment that you have within your packet this evening is the actual language as it's currently proposed, and it's simply to remove that language that was requested of the Planning Commission and now the Village Council. So if you looked at page 45 of the master plan, under future land use, the estate residential, formerly low density residential, that paragraph is the only section that's proposing a change. And the removal of the language is to state that the category for estate residential is also recommended for property abutting 14 Mile Road immediately west of Outland Trail to assist in protection of the woodlands on this site. So that is the language that was requested to be removed from that paragraph. That changes nothing within the intent behind that statement. So nothing is really changing. It's just the preference from the Bingham Road Estates subdivision to have that reference removed so that it wasn't referencing their subdivision within that statement. Additionally, on the back of the front cover will be a disclaimer that when working with the village attorney, that disclaimer states that that nothing within the master plan or the village ordinances supersedes the deed restrictions of any land within the community. And so those two amendments kind of work hand in hand together because, again, nothing changes with the intention of the future land use. The area where the Bingham Road Estates currently is would still be applicable to the master plan language, but again, the deed restrictions within that subdivision would not have any impact on the changes being made here. So.
But they would, because our deed restrictions, and it's been this way for more than 50 years. I have all the documentation and letters from Slaughter, who was the kingpin behind all the legal action. You state that the maximum density proposed for this category is 0.7 dwellings per acre.
Yes.
And our deed restrictions state that acreage has nothing to do with it. It's how many acres the property is. You can have one house.
Right.
That's it.
Yes, and so the section of the master plan that is being amended, so the estate residential is laid on top of that area, but the deed restrictions of the Bingham Road Estates, those would be in place. So this doesn't have any impact over what that could be.
But why wouldn't they be reflected accurately of the area that is being discussed? The area is part of the HOA. It would be like Bingham Point. It would be like Bingham Woods. It would be like Woodland. You can't just go in and state, well, you're part of Bingham Farms Woodland, so you're going to be 0.7 dwellings per acre.
The problem was that the master plan as written actually was referring to a property that's in the subdivision. It was actually referring to a platted lot in our subdivision. And that was troubling into itself because I'll use the words even developers have used in this room, is that our master plan is advertising for them to come in and build stuff.
Exactly.
So we're advertising in the plan as it sits today to come build on that property that's clearly referenced. Taking that out removes that, which in my opinion is a really good thing. The reference to the overall village doesn't bother me because now you have this other statement that says that this master plan does not supersede any private deed restrictions.
Yeah.
So the deed restrictions by that language would take part.
But it's not mentioned. I just,
What's not mentioned?
that we have deed restrictions on the maximum density property that they're talking about, that there are deed restrictions on that lot.
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe I'll
No,
turn
but
mine
it
to
doesn't
somebody
say
else. I'm not sure that it has
it
to
just
say
says that the master plan reflects the village's public use, does not determine.
Can I comment?
Well, there's one other question I have. And go ahead.
So what the Erics are trying to, are both saying in different words is, no, we are not referencing the deed restrictions directly in the master plan. The estate residential section of the future land use that Eric is talking about, that language, that pertains to the entire area on the future land use map that is highlighted for estate residential, which includes way more than just Bingham Road Estates. And it states that the maximum allowed density on that per the village future land use is that 0.7, which means in places without deed restrictions, that is the maximum you can build. In places with deed restrictions, again, per the disclaimer we added at the beginning of the master plan, that states that the master plan does not supersede any deed restrictions. Any deed restriction enforcement is outside the scope of village planning and zoning.
Yeah.
So it just makes
It
that
does help.
separation clear.
It does help, but I think it's the fact that it doesn't have a direct reference to the property like you would get at Woodlands or any other HOA.
Right, the
So
master
ours is-
plans,
And it's a permanent injunction. It's not just a deed restriction.
right, the original language that was included was meant to protect that area, but by removing it, it doesn't really change anything. It just takes away what the HOA felt was an unnecessary attention to that property or to that area of their subdivision. So by adding the disclaimer to the front, that's where the master plan draws connection to deed restrictions. So the deed restrictions are in place. The master plan has nothing to necessarily say about that. So I don't know if you want to
Well,
elaborate
one other
on that,
thing that I was going to get to was that in the past, if somebody was going to build on a lot on Bingham Lane or Bingham Road that is included in our HOA, those plans would have to be stamped approved by our HOA. They could not, you would not send those plans or send the builder, or developer, or homeowner to Southfield for a building permit until we had stamped it. Is that true today?
Well, we haven't had a new build in that area in a while, so.
Well, a
No,
couple
we
years
got
ago.
one going on next door to my house. and we
Yeah.
actually-
Correct, but I was not involved in the intake
No,
of those
that's right.
documents
No,
at the
that's
time, so that's why
See,
I can't answer your question.
That doesn't count, because you needed to be, somebody needed to be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, somebody
you-
was, that was Ken, he's not here, so until I review some stuff, I can't answer your question right now, is what I'm saying.
Ken's been gone how long?
A
3
year,
years?
and that house started being built 2 years ago, so those plans went in 2 years ago.
Okay. Well, and we had the White House down at the end. That was also Ken?
Correct.
All
And that
right,
was even
so,
before that.
but we want to make sure that these safeguards are in place. I don't want to assume, we need everybody to know that they need to call Jim,
Yeah.
our president, and make sure that he sees every plan that is involved on our HOA.
The other thing is that you're only responsible for enforcing the village rules.
Correct.
But if a potential builder doesn't know that there's also another level of HOA rules, what onus falls on you to inform them, or anyone? I mean, if you don't say anything, who will?
It's CHOA's responsibility to,
How does the HOA know
They come to the
somebody's
office.
coming to them to build a house? They don't know.
They come to the office.
Well, we're proactive. We had all the plans for the two houses. Had to be
Mhm,
referenced
right.
as an HOA.
We saw
And
those.
we were allowed to see them, and I'm not sure that there was actually a stamp, because this is the first time I've heard that. It was a good
Yeah,
question.
we had in the past.
But we actually got the plans to both of those homes.
Yeah.
The detailed drawings, everything.
Well, there was construction plans.
Yeah.
We saw the construction plans, which gives you all the information you
So
need
I
in
think
terms of
that's my
setbacks.
view, and again, I may be wrong, but our HOA has to be proactive.
Yes.
And knowing that a property's been sold, that it's going to be torn down, who the builder's going to be. I mean, the reference to, that was removed, we have had, I've been here for 20 years, and we've had 3 attempts to develop that property in the 20 years I've been here. And
Rather bizarre attempts.
yeah, some bizarre attempts. So anyway, I do think I think the obligation of the village and the planning commission is to at least be aware that there are deed restrictions in place, and there's a HOA involved. So at least they can say, if somebody comes and says, here's the plans, go, well, have you talked to the HOA yet?
That's right.
At least do
Communication.
that.
Generally do.
At least do that.
Yeah, that would be very helpful if we could. I know that I did witness prior counsel telling Ken that when I asked if they would let us know, leaned over and said, no, you don't have to tell her anything. And I thought, wow, that's rather bizarre. But it's nice if we can be cooperative, we can work together. Appreciate it.
That's-
Thank you.
And I can tell you, that's how I represent Bloomfield Village, which is HOA on steroids.
It really is.
And that's how it works with Bloomfield Township. I mean, they work hand in hand on those things.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Thank you.
So what's before you this evening then is, because we made reference to the Michigan Planning Enabling Act for the next steps, the Planning Commission at their last meeting forwarded the proposed amendments to the Village Council to approve moving the process forward. So everything from here on out would stay with the Planning Commission. So by you approving what's proposed, that would start a 42-day period where the surrounding communities would be notified of the minor amendment, utility companies and whatnot. And so my job would be to work with the staff to provide those notifications to go out. And so if everything stays on time, the 42-day period would close roughly around the beginning of October. So then once that occurs, then the Planning Commission will meet in October to establish a public hearing for November. So then they would hold a public hearing on November to receive any additional feedback from the public, and if everything is good to go, they could make the final approvals and adoption at that time. It doesn't necessarily have to come back to the Village Council, but it can if you wish to have it come back for your adoption as well. But because it's such a minor amendment, it could stay with the Planning Commission to make the adoption.
I just want to ask a general question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
the numbers and the projections for how large or how small our community will be in the future. That's based on statistical census data. That's how old?
The data that we have is from the previous master plan in 2021, so we can run some numbers to project what it currently would be, but I don't think it's changed significantly from what the current master plan.
Because it has the population being reduced by 2030. When I see all these new young families buying these houses with kids.
Riding e-bikes down
Yeah.
the street.
Having more kids, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was a little
good
taken
point.
back at the accuracy of these projections. And if it's a different, and also the average age of our community. It might have been 62 back when, but is it today? And that average age helps drive our decisions as council members. Do we want bike paths, toddler playgrounds? I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
That influences
Yeah,
the master
absolutely.
plan.
Yeah, and we've had that conversation with the Planning Commission, and I think the implementation section of the master plan is something that we'll continue to work with staff on so that we can have those conversations with the Planning Commission regarding, housing, the commercial corridor, and that sort of thing, to use the guidelines of the master plan to implement what the goals and objectives that are established in the approved 2021 plan are. And so they felt, the Planning Commission, that there was not a significant enough change to warrant an update, but we can certainly look at projections, through the census as we go through those implementation
Well,
strategies.
the next review will be 5 years from now, which will be a new census.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
in 31, we'll review it, but 30, there will have been a census.
That's right. And so maybe at that time it would be worthwhile to do a full update to the master plan instead of just a small amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was taken under consideration.
Yes, yeah. So the Planning Commission discussed every 5 years, and they wanted to get that on record now so that this will be established for 2026, and then going forward, with the new census in 2030, that they'll go through the update process again
Okay.
in 2031.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
So we're required to update it every 5 years.
Yes, and so if this minor amendment was not a consideration by the Planning Commission, they could have just readopted the 2021 plan, and it would have been acknowledged that that occurred in 2026, and then that process would reoccur in 2031.
So this is just intuition. It just seems like after 5 years, this is Bingham may not change very much, I agree,
Right.
but it just seems like it's there should have been more.
More
More changes.
more changes?
To reflect some of the things Diane was just saying, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to admit, I've read through it. It's not a legal document, it's guidelines.
Correct, yeah. Well, there will be some changes, and you may be aware the discussion about fences in the
Yeah,
community.
Exactly, that's exactly right. But that's an
Right.
fencing is an ordinance.
That's an
right?
ordinance, and so, we'll use the master plan as guidance, which we've already done to a certain extent, to say that if there is going to be a conversation about allowing fences within residential properties, that it complies with what the master plan's guidelines are.
And what if it doesn't?
What if
What if the fence ordinance doesn't comply with?
Well, we would want to ensure that it does, and so that's one thing that we're going to have to keep an eye on to make sure that there's a marriage between
So
any
let me
proposed
ask the question
amendments.
a different way. What if the fence ordinance comes out and we all decide we really like it, that's a great idea, but it doesn't conform? Can we, does that mean we can't do the fence ordinance?
You
or-
can still pass it,
Yeah.
it leaves you open to some argument that it's, because it's not consistent with the master plan,
Yeah.
that,
It depends how different it is from the master plan.
right,
Yeah.
and
If the master plan says go that way, and we're gonna go that way, like,
Well,
if it says absolutely no fences ever,
yeah.
Well, and for example, as we've had this conversation with the Planning Commission up until this point, we've made reference to the current master plan to see, well, if we are going to take consideration for fences in the community, what does the master plan say? And it's more or less silent to the fact, but what it does say is that the village wants to uphold the character of the community, and so that means if there's no fences to be seen, then what does that look like if you then have an amendment to allow for fences? Well, potentially landscape screening would be a requirement, where you put a fence in a side yard, that if you have evergreen screening, that would last throughout the year, even during the winter, so that you wouldn't be able to see the fence. That might be one way that you keep the ordinance and the master plan in sync with one another, even though you're kind of going against what precedent is currently not allowing fences in the community, so.
Eric, are you aware of communities that have sued because of something that was different in the master plan than what was going on in the community? So you use the master plan as the basis for a lawsuit?
I'm not familiar with any, because that's mostly heavily reliant on the zoning code primarily.
yeah, that would come up from time to time in zoning disputes where, the zoning request has been denied a variance, and they would try and use the master plan where you've, strayed from the master plan and denied their variance, something like that. It comes up. It's an argument, but it's, your zoning ordinance is not required to be in strict conformity with the master plan. It's a guide, like I say.
So this reference to the aesthetic beauty within Bingham Farms, it is just totally impossible to litigate against those kind of terms, though, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
kind of why it's there.
So unless the fence ordinance is really specific and enforceable by law with consequences, it's for naught, right?
The ordinance, yeah, if you want to be more specific with an ordinance, if you can,
yeah,
less vague.
right.
Mhm.
But that's not in the master plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we go through that process, we'll be looking at the master plan as it's currently written, to take that into consideration when we have those conversations with the Planning Commission, what, if any, types of changes to the fence ordinance they would take into consideration. So, and right now, what I see is maintaining the character of the community, and to possibly entertain, if they want to, allowing fences, so long as what the master plan says about that is to maintain the character of the community, to not have fences in your front yard and exposed and, looking like a gated community, so to speak. So, but again, that's all speculation and a future conversation that we'll be having with the Planning Commission.
So process-wise, right, this starts, going forward from here, the next step is the 42-day window for.
That's right, yeah, so you're.
And then because now, on one hand, public's been aware that it's been in the Planning Commission, but now they may be more aware of what's going on because it's coming here. If people are coming with questions about any part of it,
Yeah.
questions or comments and desires to change,
Yes.
it's not just about the change in the language, it's really the whole thing. If somebody comes in and has questions about all kinds of things, hey, can come and comment on it. And
Yeah.
the planning commission takes that
Mhm.
and says, okay, now what we do we, there's all this public comment,
Yeah.
what do we do now?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
that could be kind of just something that's not really foreseen at this point, and that the only change to the 2021 master plan is what's that minor portion that's taken out. But if there becomes this conversation about something much larger during that 42-day period, then certainly that can be something that is taken into consideration. And we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get there. But the 42 days allows for the surrounding communities to be notified, and then for any public comment, but the last portion of it would be for the Planning Commission to offer another public hearing before the final adoption takes place in November. So again, what's before you today is just to allow for staff to release for notification, or distribution, I should say. And that's it.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you
you.
very
You're welcome.
much
Of
for
course.
explaining that.
Mhm.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
No, not yet.
So we need a resolution.
Oh, sorry.
At the very, I think, is this a motion? Or-
I didn't find anything that stated that you technically have to have a motion, but you can, I think, do you agree, Mike?
Yeah, I didn't think you needed a motion.
I don't think so either, so it's just a confirmation that we're good to move forward with the plan.
Like a thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
That works.
Okay.
I know we're going to get the demographics.
Do you want to,
Is that next on the agenda? Okay, so I requested have a discussion point on the agenda about how do we, as a village, inform and encourage our residents to be willing to be volunteers of any nature. Maybe it's a specific committee, maybe it's just a one-off like a roads commission. If I remember correctly, we actually passed a motion for a deer committee months ago. That would be another one if we had some volunteers.
We
Maybe
did.
it's a garden committee, how to keep the deer out of my garden committee, I don't know.
Yeah.
But my personal feeling is, I'm not even sure how people in Bingham Farms know that there's an opening on the council, much less anywhere else. So, because I don't sense that we're doing a lot of direct communication in that way. Now, so those were some of the examples, but coming up very soon, the Planning Commission's gonna have a number of openings. So, as those openings occur, and Jamie informed me that we don't have any volunteer applications on file at all. There is a application online. Probably nobody takes the time to figure out if there's one there or not. And so we get in these situations at a council that you need somebody to serve a volunteer position, for instance, on the Planning Commission. And I guess I don't know how you find them. Maybe you just call up your best friend and say, hey, will you help me out and sit on the Planning Commission? I don't know. That's probably how it works, I guess. I don't know.
I have a suggestion. I mean, I was criticized tonight for walking my dog 5 times a day. But every time I walk my dog, I have neighbors out that are walking their dog. They're just walking. And yesterday morning, I had a neighbor from Bingham Road wanting to know about the house. And so we discussed it briefly, and he said, well, what can I do? And I said, oh, my God, thank you. Yes, you can volunteer. I said, we would love to have you on a committee. So he gave me his contact information, and he's retired head of design for Chrysler. I mean, he's got really good credentials. I think he'd be an asset to have working with the village. So, and that's just an example. I mean, there's a plethora of other people that have many skill sets that I think would help.
Well, I think that's a good example. How do we find more of those people that might be willing to, some people just don't want to commit to 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is, I get it. But they might be glad to commit to a committee that's going to be formed to meet 5 times over the next 3 months and help us out, so.
Yeah.
We need to find, I guess my real point is we need to find a way to inform residents that there are positions that we need volunteers to help us on, and if you would be willing to help.
Yeah.
and at least have some applications or resumes or whatever it is in place, so when the time comes, we're not going, well, I don't know who's going to do that job.
Well, I think one of the problems is we still don't have a database of all residents. So we have 500 homes. We have it for taxes. We
Yeah,
don't
we
have it
prefer
for
addresses,
communication.
yeah.
Hmm?
We got addresses for everybody. You could do a direct mail.
We
Right.
don't
I'm not
have,
sure
we don't
what-
have email or text.
Email.
Right.
Email or phones.
Yeah,
Or
so
text, yeah.
we really need to broaden that and be more inclusive of all residents. And maybe investing in something like constant contact would be a good tool to use. And, but if it's,
I know what that is.
yeah.
Are you aware of constant contact?
I ran a business for 17 years, yes. I know it.
Well, then you know the importance of being able to reach out to your audience.
Correct. The only concern I have about this, and I'm going to let Mike speak to this because I think it's more of a legal issue, all of those services and contacting people via email and phone has to be voluntary on their end to provide
Yeah.
that information.
Yeah.
So if they choose to unsubscribe, much like our e-blast, we can't forcibly keep sending emails or phone calls or texts to people if they
That's just
say,
fine.
I don't want it.
Sure.
So that's the only concern I have about having that kind of database, but on a volunteer basis, of course, and we have our e-blast available already as kind of
What
almost a
percentage of
starter for that.
households do you have emails or a text number for? What percentage roughly?
I don't know that I can give you that number because, again, I don't keep a phone and email database because I'm not aware of the legality of that. We have addresses, the way we traditionally contact all the residents in the village when we need to, for example, for the large item pickup,
You do it by
is
direct
by
mail.
USPS. And we do have a database of everybody's address.
But the e-blast is, what, I guess, that's emails.
That's email, correct.
Yeah, so
That's where
is it-
people signed up through our website.
Right, is it 20% or 80%? Is it,
That's a hard number to guess because I think that
oh, I guess if there's two in a household,
a similar question was posed back when Ken was manager, and we pulled up the e-blast directory that we have on our website, and there is a silly number of emails on there. I'm talking about like over 1,800 because
Oh.
what happens is the e-blast has existed for years.
Right.
Residents signed up,
You
then
gotta
moved
keep
from
it
the
in
village.
there.
Their email is still rattling around there. Or residents got a new Gmail.
Or
They're not using their old
everybody in the
one.
household
so it's
has their own
200%
email.
is the answer.
Correct. So it's very hard to nail down how many percentage of
Yeah.
active residents we
Well,
have
okay, so-
because
But I
of
think
that
it's doable.
overshot.
It's doable, it's
Well,
just getting a plan put
But what
together.
about, I mean, I think we as council members,
Mhm.
we can all do our part. We can meet people on the street.
Yep,
You know, I mean, we can just throw all kinds of ideas out
yep.
of,
Absolutely.
you know, hey, what if every one of us visits two people that we don't know?
Yeah. Well, the other
It
thing,
doesn't count when it's people you know, and then let them know, this is what I do. Do you want to help? And do you have two other people that I can talk to?
But what about a
or that they
mailing?
can talk to?
Oh,
Or
So
I
that,
just-
I was
you know.
going to add my next comment. We're about to do the postcard mailing for the fall large item pickup.
Perfect
We're already
place.
tacking on the fence ordinance survey onto that to get feedback from the residents. We
Good.
can easily add a bullet point on there for Village is always looking for volunteers.
At
Here's
least
the link
it's
to
a
that.
start. Yeah, it's a start
Yeah.
somehow, somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And see-
It's just hard for me to believe there's so many retired people in this community, especially in,
yes,
in
I know.
on September 4th, I will.
Yeah, okay. Join the ranks.
September 4th of which year? I've said that every September 4th for the past 20 years. So you're right, Bill.
But yes, there's a ton of knowledge.
Yeah, but there's just
and
people, you
experience.
just think if they were encouraged and informed, we could get a dozen maybe that said, hey, let's.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think we're missing a great opportunity to engage people that are so valuable to our village, and I know that they would love to contribute too. So it's just a matter of making that
And I
overture.
have to say, I don't remember how the roads committee had that was a good group of people. I'm not sure how I'm not sure how I found out about it.
Well, part of it is
Those
networking.
friends of friends, I think.
Maybe.
I have a friend on Bristol who knows all the other people on Bristol.
Well, yes.
And he went to Jim Burley And
Just have
I think
some-
Lisa
anyway.
had people,
Yeah,
Let's-
oh, yeah.
I think so.
yeah,
Yeah, I think putting it in the mailing would be good.
yeah.
I don't recall if we did a mailing for the roads committee, but I know we definitely did an e-blast, and I think we did like a news posting on our website as well, in addition to the
Would you go back
e-blast,
and just
so.
look and say, this is what we did? Because somehow the word got out.
I can go back and look.
Yeah.
Some of the news notifications time out after their
Yeah.
deadline, so
Yeah.
obviously I can't pull up
But we
something that's
had
no longer
5
there,
or
but
6 people that were.
there you go.
Postings
Oh,
on both of them.
that's right, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we included it in the special roads newsletter then, too, that we were looking for volunteers for the road committee, because I think, yeah, that's right, the first newsletter went out before the committee, second one went out after the committee.
Our police and fire departments, they have pretty good, like, social media accounts too. So we have
Would that
someone
be
whose
another
job is.
great place to latch
Right.
on to their social
Yeah,
media?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's donuts.
Yeah. But they do a good job. They like, it's not even
Yeah.
listening. So, but they do a great job. So we can latch onto them and also use that resource.
It's about 500 homes.
I had a lot of success in Oakland Township by piggybacking on like the Pink Creek Trail. People who lived nearby or visited the area would follow that Facebook page or social media and would maybe see things that they wouldn't otherwise really care to follow, like a government site, I don't know, just an idea. I'll get with the chiefs and see what we can do.
Yeah, the other thing is that when I look at emails, some things just have a sameness to them, so I don't
Delete
open
it.
it. I just sort of,
Yeah.
every month I get this, it looks the same. And so we need to vary communication, and that's where the email and the text messages would come into play. Like with Boxwood, and the issue that happened all over our community was shouldn't you destroy your boxwood plants? And the answer was 13-3-13, chemical that's going to rejuvenate the boxwoods. Just sharing that information with our friends and neighbors through email or a special text. So it's like an alert for emergencies or concerns. And I think the police and the fire department would take huge, if we had a better database, I'm thinking that they surely would want to send some messaging on certain kind of things. So.
It's like Code Red, and we do have that for
Yeah, but
true
that's for-
emergencies.
That's for emergencies.
Yeah, true
But-
emergencies, yeah.
But for true emergencies, we even don't have it. I mean, there's no way, if there's a tornado coming, that...
Code red,
Code
Well,
Red,
Code red, if you
Yeah.
have it.
if you have it, right?
yeah.
I think we should try to at least maybe come up for the next meeting with some type of proposal. It doesn't have to be much, but just get something memorialized that, we're going to put it on the direct mailing that's going out. We're going to attempt to get a better database to email people, text people. I've never heard of this app, Contact. What was it? Contact Me?
Constant contact, yeah.
Constant contact, yeah. Just I've got enough constant contacts. So. But that's the problem today. I mean, you get 1,000 emails a day, most of which are
Yeah.
nothing.
Delete, yeah.
Yes, it's true.
But we really need to do it. As a council, we really need to do a better job of informing people that there are opportunities. I really don't know how people are going to know. What if I want to be on the planning commission, but I don't even know what to do to get there, or when it's going to happen? So, okay, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Good night.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
you. Do you want to move on to the treasurer's report?
Yes, thank you. Last but not certainly least.
Not least.
We have a handful of items under the treasurer's report this evening. The first one is in your packet, is regarding a resolution regarding Public Act 152, which is known as the Public Funding Insurance Act, Contribution Act for annual exemption. It happens on a yearly basis. The state of Michigan sends it to me. It's due back to them by the 30th of September. And what it does is just exempts us for the year under the rules of it. The reason it came about was, just a real quick history lesson, council back in 2005 determined that since the employees of the village does not provide health care benefits after retirement when you leave the village, that they would just exempt themselves from this public act. So, we have our insurance benefits. Once we leave and or retire, those don't go into a retirement like the autos and some of the other companies did in the past year. So every year it comes in front of council in order as a resolution to recommend and approve the resolution so that we can exempt ourselves and send back the
Is there any
paperwork.
conditions associated with that, or you just say we don't want to participate?
And we meet all the requirements of what the conditions are, and we do exempt ourselves.
Okay.
The only other one is that it has to be approved by 2/3 of the sitting body of the council that's in session at the time.
No, I think it's, do we need to vote on that?
Yes, it is a resolution.
Okay. So we need a
Can we
motion.
take a roll?
Someone needs to offer it,
I'll
someone needs to.
move that we approve the annual exemption of Public Act 152.
Second.
Okay. Dory,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Miller,
I,
Michigan,
Aye.
Blackburn, absent, Hageman, absent, McAlexander.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Second item is more familiar, as it is every month, approval of the bills for August of 2026. That is also in your packet, but I'll just read through the disbursements and then entertain any questions that council may have. Under the general fund, from the period of July 23rd, 2026 through August 19th, 2026, we dispersed $222,314.07 out of the general fund. Out of the gas and weight fund for the same time period was $183,434.97 for a total of $415,749.04. I'll just bring to council's attention the $183,434 under the gas and weight was the first payment for Phase 2 of the road project that we received. A letter and information from HRC saying that they reviewed everything. They have the holdback in it, and they said should be approved for payment on this portion of it for the work that was completed was the $138,434.97. Any other questions that I can answer regarding the disbursements for the checks? None. With that motion is in front of council for your action on that motion.
I make a motion to approve the expenditures from July 23rd through August 18th, 2026.
I'll second.
Approved.
I don't need a roll call.
No, just all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. We'll move to the third item, or a third item on it. Accept the financial statements for July 2026. It is also a motion. In your packet, you have the revenue and expense report for the period ending July 31st, 2026. It's pretty self-explanatory. I did want to bring to council's attention one oversight that was on my behalf. It was my fault. If you look halfway down the page, on the first page, you'll see under the cell phone, there is $682.25 under the balance. There's only $25 for the cell phone. When I put the three items in, it picked up, I miskeyed in the one account number. So that has since been adjusted. It is not 227% of the budget. It moved to a motion for, not a motion, but for a membership for Jamie, and then there was mileage. So that has been corrected, and it will be reflected in next month's financial statements as well. And then pretty straightforward as well. Obviously, this is the first month of the new fiscal year that we're in, so everything else was just in line. As you can see under the portion of the revenue, taxes are coming in, typically just as they are. We should get a big download from the mortgage companies sometime this week, beginning of next week. They wait till the very end before penalties are assessed, and they'll do a drop load to the county, and then the county sends me a report. So we have, right now, it's been pretty constant, as it has been every year, without very many exceptions whatsoever. That leads me to the second portion, which is the investments. Those have been updated, and, as I continue to tell council every month, I always watch them. I make sure that we're trying to maximize any benefit that's out there for ones that are coming to maturity and expiration. And you have it for both the general fund and the road fund. If there's any questions that I could answer about those, I'm more than happy to.
If I could step back for just a minute. Last year, we had a lot of pushback from, well, more than pushback, it was challenges from some of the commercial properties of their taxable value, and I know there was some adjustments made there. Is any of that going on this year?
There is.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Joe was kind enough, since he sits a lot on the review board, he always provides me information before I don't want to say publicly available, but he takes the active role and brings it to me of what the board has looked and which ones are going to the Michigan Tribunal.
Okay.
So there are a couple that are still out there. There has not been any decisions. It wasn't as much as it had been in the past. The listing that I get, I do log in and read the docket, the information on what's put on the docket and where it currently is in the process. We're on there for a handful. This current year, it's typically the large commercial districts that do it regularly. They wait so many years and then they'll file again. Beverly Hills had a couple that were on there, and Franklin had one or two, I believe, that were on there. But it's not to the extent as it was the past fiscal year, yes. Yep. I have seen a little bit, just to comment a second, I have seen a lot of things come through too as houses sell and people change their primary exemption for their residency. A lot of them move from Florida, and now they take that off on the floor or wherever their other primary exemption is, and they move it back to here. So I get those reports from the county every week, and I'm not able to go in and actually change it. The township is the one that has the ability to update. It's called the LAM system. So they're the ones that go in and move the exemption from, primary exemption from non-exempt to exempt. And that does not affect the village taxes, and the reason why the township does it is because it goes to the schools and all of the other stuff. So we don't
affect this at all.
Right, correct. And that's why they have the responsibility of updating it. So I keep in close contact with Kim, the treasurer, that's in Southfield Township.
But there's people actually moving back from Florida to declare this is their primary residence?
Well, that's not necessarily moving back, but they move. I'll get a lot, it's surprising. Florida really is very, I don't want to say hawkish on making sure.
Yeah.
I'll get a lot of calls that says, can you verify and confirm that they're not, this particular parcel is not claiming primary exemption because you can't have it in both states.
Yeah,
So there's no other way for them they could query it, but they end up calling me and have me confirm whether or not it's either primary or non-primary. Right. So we have seen that, but to answer your question, Eric, it is not necessarily that they're moving back, but they look at what the taxes are and the impact are in whatever the state it is, and whatever is the most beneficial for them, they'll unfile there and they'll file back here.
And with the stuff that's going on in Florida right now about the elimination of property tax, it's going to be a
Yes. Yep. Any other questions I can answer? I mean, we're doing fine. We're interest rates are going to say relative, but we have some that are in there that we have maturity on that are still going up. There's some that are going to be coming up, and then I always go and work the financial institutions to see if they squeak out a couple more basis points for us.
Treasuries are up considerably this week, aren't they?
Well, if you take a look at what happened to the bond market, that had a big impact. So again, we were talking earlier about roads, inflation, and all that stuff. When you have things that are jerking back and forth, sometimes when I look at it, it's nice to know that we have set rates that are there, that are yes, exactly. But we'll continue to keep an eye on that. So if there's no other questions on that, the motion is in front of council for the investments and for the financial statements.
I make a motion to accept the financial statements of July 2026.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Jamie, I'm taking your job.
Good job.
I just thought I would, just since it's my deal right now. The last two items are really easy. The reason why there's nothing included in your packet on the not to exceed fees are that I typically get invoices from HRC around the 21st through the 24th. So I haven't had any new invoices come that are updated. The last one that was in the last packet was as of June 30th. So as soon as I get those, obviously, I will make sure that they're in next month's packet. But as you said, we're winding down on phase one. I talked to Brad a little bit today back and forth, and obviously that one's going to come in. We're I think virtually pretty much done with a couple of other hit list things that have to be
Yeah, there'll be
completed
things to do.
and taken care of, right?
We really need to close that out.
Right. So with that, and then, phase two is moving along pretty fast. As I came back to this meeting, I saw they've got the apron portion of that kind of torn up and blocked off, and you saw the notice email from HRC that was sent on Friday about what the intention was with weather, what's the next portion of it. So that should relatively finish up fairly quickly, in my opinion, and then that'll give us, again, a good staging point to start looking at where do we go from here regarding phase three. But that's the answer of why there's nothing in the package, because I don't have any updates for you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so,
Do you have any trustee comments? No?
nope.
I'm good. Yep.
To a motion to adjourn?
Should move to adjourn.
Second?
Second?
All right.
Aye.
We're all right.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.